times I've done something like this. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you to my home. I thought this was indeed a place that I wanted to make an announcement to you all. I want to welcome you to my home. I want to, first of all, before I get into my formal remarks, introduce members of my family. First of all, this is my wife, Betty. Yay! In a few weeks, we're going to be celebrating our 29th wedding anniversary. Wow! I've given her the best years of my life, and it's a life sentence. This is my son, Mark. Mark just finished law school, a full semester early. In the process of taking the bar, and I hope finding a job in a few months. This is my other son, George. George is also at the University of New Mexico. He's entering his last semester at UNM, and he's a volunteer firefighter, and also very proud. He's a volunteer firefighter in Torrance County. I want to recognize my father-in-law, who's put up with me now for 30 years. His name is George Case. He's a World War II veteran. I want to thank him for that. He served in the Navy, and he saw action. Maxine is his girlfriend. Hello, Maxine. I also want to introduce Laura, my sister-in-law. And Nancy and Ed Wolf, my sister and brother-in-law. My two sisters, Pauline and Gail. Well, this is a new year. This is a new year for Albuquerque. And the reality of it is, I firmly believe we need a new mayor. Yeah! Are you fired up? Yeah! Yeah! All right. The bottom line is, for the last 6 months, I've been organizing very carefully and trying to analyze the field in this race. And I came to the conclusion that you don't analyze anything if you really believe in something. Because my heart is into this race. I'm telling you, I was born and raised in Albuquerque. I happen to come from an immigrant family. My grandfather was an immigrant, came to the United States in the year 1900. And on my mother's side of the family, I'm also half Hispanic. She came originally from Chacon, New Mexico, up in Mayoral County. And the bottom line is that I hope I reflect Albuquerque, and I hope I reflect New Mexico, because I do not think I could be any more of an Albuquerquean than I am. My roots run very deep. I made the decision to run for mayor of Albuquerque because, ladies and gentlemen, I think you know me. I love this city. This city means everything to me. This is where I raised my sons. This is where my mother and father raised me. And I dedicated 34 years of practicing law and 27 years of that as an attorney in various positions. And I love this town more than you can believe. And it's something that I feel that my time has come. Now I'm wearing the button here. This is a button that is 24 years old. I hope I look as good as this button. And so with that, I'm very pleased and I'm very proud to say that I am a candidate for the mayor of the city of Albuquerque. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! I want to thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. I see a lot of friends here that go back many, many, many years, 30 and 40, 50 years, some of you. Danny Hernandez is out there. I went to grade school with Danny. And Mike Garcia, I went to grade school with Michael. Ross Aranda, who was a deputy fire chief, and he went back 24 years. A lot of family is here, a lot of richness, and a lot of culture. a lot of good friends that I practice law with in the district attorney's office, as well as with the attorney general's office. And throughout my years of public service, especially as being a workers' compensation judge, I came to love the people of New Mexico. I came to love the city of Albuquerque. And I retired 3 years ago, and I became very concerned after a year. Because when I retired, I know the condition Albuquerque was in. We had an extremely, very police department that we could be proud of. And I look back on the years that I have serviced with the city of Albuquerque, and when we left, Albuquerque was in fantastic shape. You can't say that about that today. 3 years later, what are we faced with? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be running on a platform, a three-pronged platform. And this is a platform that I've thought about very long and hard. And I hate to say this, but this platform is very much an indictment of the failed leadership of the present administration. It's a three-count indictment. The first plank is that to restore public confidence in public safety.
Yes. Yes.
The second plank is to address economic development and bring industry and jobs to the city of Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Yeah. The third plank is to end the outrageous settlements that are going on with the city of Albuquerque and the millions and millions of dollars that is being paid out in frivolous lawsuits, and where the city attorney's office is even failing to defend on some occasions. Now let's talk about these things. If you'll notice my slogan, it's serious solutions for serious times. And this is what I'm about. I'm a serious person. But I also believe that you can't just sit back and just complain. You have to come up with solutions. So let's talk about the solutions. When you take a look at the Albuquerque Police Department, when you take a look at public safety in general, it is in a complete meltdown. It is in a complete meltdown when it comes to the number of people that are retiring. We're losing a lot of police officers and firefighters that are now turning their back on Albuquerque and moving on because they no longer feel the environment is good for them. And we're losing a lot of very dedicated public servants. The reality of it is that also when you talk about public safety, you have to deal with 911. The 911 Operations Center also has an uptick in the amount of time it's taken to respond to priority 1 calls. I was there 5 years ago and I took a very strong approach and we were able to bring them down, but now it's returning to where it was before. Public safety in Albuquerque, whether or not we want to admit it, is in a crisis, but I am prepared to solve it, to make a solution, to come up with a solution. One of the things that I feel that we need to be very careful with is we've got to recognize that we've had 27 police officer involved shootings during the first 2 years of the Berry administration. 17 fatalities, ladies and gentlemen. Now Albuquerque, we're embarrassed because for the first time in Albuquerque's history, the Department of Justice has now come in and they're investigating. This is very serious, ladies and gentlemen, very serious. And the reality of it is, it's a direct reflection on what has happened because of the leadership in law enforcement. When Mayor Berry first took office, he appointed Darren White. He appointed Darren White to head up the police department. And ladies and gentlemen, the reality of it is that it only took a year and a half for the Albuquerque Police Department to go into a spiral. It gets back to what are the solutions. Also, when you're dealing with the fire department, we have a number of police firefighters that are also retiring, and there's a lack of service on the west side. There's a gap in service. In fact, the fire chief acknowledged that one time. And this is the very fire chief that also got a vote of no confidence by the union. So what is your solutions, Mr. Dinelli? Well, let me answer that question for you. The reality of it is you have 3 departments that need another reorganization. When I talk about the Albuquerque Fire Department and the Albuquerque Police Department, my intent will be to remove and replace both chiefs, as well as a number of the deputy chiefs, and for that matter, commanders. I'm looking at a complete reorganization of both departments. And we're going to do that. The Albuquerque Police Department, when I left, we had 1,100 police officers. 1,100 police officers. We are down now to less than 900. The figure's around 875. Of the 875 police officers, less than half are out in the streets, actually patrolling our streets. I'm going to change that. We're going to reorganize the department. We're going to put more police officers in the streets. We're going to make sure we have a recruitment program that is successful. And we're going to bring the department back up to its full strength. And I intend to do that within the year. We are going to remove these chiefs, and we're going to take an aggressive approach in solving the problems that are facing public safety. Now let's talk about the other, count 2 of this indictment of leadership. That relates to the economy. And I'm going to submit to you, and I would hope that you all understand, I'm an attorney. I've done this for 34 years. This is my first exhibit. This is an exhibit. And what this is a 2-page listing of statistics and news reports by the Albuquerque Journal and also the TV stations during the last year alone regarding Albuquerque's economic condition. This document alone should be sufficient to find and convict the Berry administration of lack of leadership when it comes to the economy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to share some of these statistics with you. Albuquerque ranks in unemployment of the 100 United States cities, top cities in the country. Albuquerque ranks number 68. Albuquerque is 90th out of 100 when it comes to the largest cities, when it comes to economic recovery. Albuquerque has lost 3,100 jobs in a 1-year period of time. Then there was another story that reported another 2,900 jobs. The bottom line is that for the last 3 years, Albuquerque has had a 0% growth rate in jobs. Yet the surrounding states are doing quite well, believe it or not. Texas, Colorado, Arizona, all have 1.5 to 2.5% growth rates in jobs. They're able to attract industry. They're able to attract industry, and their people are going back to work. How does Albuquerque, why is it Albuquerque has a 0% growth rate? A few months ago, I had the opportunity to listen to the incumbent. He spoke in front of the Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce. And he said, you know, Albuquerque's the donut hole of economic development. We can't grow. It's the donut hole. And then what made my jaw drop was that he said, but I can't do anything about it. It's all Washington's fault. And it's all Santa Fe's fault.
Oh!
And all of a sudden, I almost felt like Bill Clinton. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
But Pete can.
Yeah. Here we had a mayor for 3 years that has done absolutely nothing when it comes to economic development, but yet he says he can't do anything. You've got to try. You have to try. You have to get out there. You have to promote the city of Albuquerque. You've got to get out there and be aggressive in trying to identify new industries to try to bring them to Albuquerque. To take a look at what can we do to revitalize our economy. And I submit the way you do it, again, back to the solutions. We're going to take a look at the industrial revenue bonds. We're going to take a look at the tax increment districts. We're going to take a look also at the capital improvements program. We're going to identify major projects that we can start reinvesting into ourselves and try to reinvest in infrastructure. My goal is also to try to attract new industry. One industry that I felt was an incredible industry that we seem to be losing the grasp of, and that is the that is the film industry.
Right, good one.
Take a look at this neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. There were a number of productions that went on, and we'd always see these production companies coming in. And I wish they would have rented my house, but they didn't rent it. But you don't see that much often. But where was the mayor when they were cutting back the subsidies? He was nowhere to be found. He was nowhere to be found. These were jobs, good paying jobs. We need to, again, tie into our culture, to tie into being able to attract businesses to the Albuquerque area. Now the third area that I'll be concentrating on is that we have to stop and we have to end the outrageous settlements that are coming out of City Hall. How does that compare? What are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? $30 million has been paid out regarding cases in a period of 12 years. The downside is 10 million of that has occurred in the last 3 years alone. Not to mention what's going to happen now when you have all of these lawsuits that are going to be flowing in because of the cases involving the Albuquerque Police Department and the various departments in the City Hall. I noticed the Albuquerque Journal reported that Mayor Barry wants an additional $4 million or $3.5 million to bolster the risk management department. Well, those are tort claims, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a trial lawyer. I'm a trial lawyer. I don't believe that any case that is frivolous should be settled because this is taxpayers' money.
That's right.
We have got to stop it. We have got to stop the frivolous lawsuits, and we have to defend the city of Albuquerque. That department has 33 attorneys, and you kind of wonder what's going on, whether they're afraid of a courtroom or whether or not it's easier to settle cases. I do know of cases that answers to complaints haven't even been filed, and no discovery has been made, no depositions of plaintiffs, but they roll over and they settle lawsuits, very large amounts of money. City Hall reported, the Journal reported, $18 million shortfall. Well, you know, we could have taken care of that pretty easily had we started addressing some of these settlements and started addressing and defending ourselves. And I will end the practice of these outrageous settlements. So with that, that's the three-pronged approach. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your support. This election is just, today's the first day. We're going to have another organization meeting. Last month we had over 100 people. I think we've had probably 150 people here today. And I've got to get on the ballot. And starting starting February 16th, we have to start collecting petition signatures and the $5 donations. And I'm going to be asking for your help. I need you to help me collect the signatures. I need you to help me collect the $5 donations. I'm going to go for public financing. And we're going to see what we can do. But the goal is to win this election. And again, I don't care who gets in. I'm in it to stay. And with your help, we've got 4 years ahead of us. And I want to thank you. Yeah!